Most people spend their lives chasing approval, bending over backwards to keep relationships intact, even when those relationships cost them their peace. But what if the real power lies not in holding on, but in walking away? Not with bitterness, not with rage, but with clarity. Walking away doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your sanity to keep bleeding for people who only bring chaos. In this world full of noise, the most powerful move you can make is silence. Let's dive into the 9 harsh truths about choosing peace over people, the kind of wisdom that isn't loud but echoes forever. Truth 1. Not everyone deserves access to you. You think being kind means being available. But true strength is in setting boundaries without explanation. You're not cold, you're clear. Every time you say yes to someone draining you, you say no to yourself. Peace isn't found in crowds. It's found in selective presence. Truth 2. People will call you selfish when you stop sacrificing your peace for their comfort. And they're right, selfish in the best way possible. Because you've realized the cost of people-pleasing is too high. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be free. And sometimes that means disappointing others to protect your own spirit. Truth 3. Silence speaks louder than arguments. When you stop engaging in drama, when you walk away from endless debates, you'll be accused of being arrogant or distant. Let them talk. Your silence isn't weakness, it's control. You no longer waste energy proving your worth to the unwilling. Truth 4. Walking away will leave you lonely, temporarily. It will sting. You'll question if you did the right thing. But the emptiness is not a void, it's space. Space where peace enters. Space where clarity forms. And over time, that loneliness transforms into solitude, and solitude into strength. Truth 5. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will never applaud your peace. They'll say you've changed, that you're not the same. And they're right, you've grown. They only miss the version of you who tolerated the things you now refuse to accept. Don't shrink to fit their comfort zone. Truth 6. Your peace will threaten people who thrive on chaos. The calmer you become, the more their drama looks loud and desperate. Peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It's choosing not to react when they expect you to explode. It's choosing clarity over confusion, stillness over storms. Truth 7. The world respects those who respect themselves. People may not say it, but they notice. When you stop explaining, stop chasing, stop begging, they feel it. Your peace becomes magnetic. You don't need to impress anyone. Your energy speaks for you. Truth 8. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you lower your standard. Peace demands a new level of discipline. It means choosing discomfort today for the sake of long-term freedom. Because pleasing everyone will eventually cost you. Truth 9. The moment you choose peace, your circle will get smaller, but your life will get clearer. You'll lose people, but you'll find yourself. And the trade is always worth it. A calm mind sees better. A peaceful heart feels deeper. And a quiet soul hears what noise always drowns out, truth. So if you're at the edge, wondering whether to keep holding on or finally let go, choose yourself. Walk away, not in anger, but in wisdom. You weren't born to carry the weight of everyone's expectations. You were born to rise above them. And once you taste true peace, you'll never settle for anything less again. Because in a loud world, protecting your silence is the loudest power you'll ever own. So you stop answering calls that only ring when they need something. You stop explaining your silence to people who never cared about your noise. You stop overgiving, over-explaining, overextending, because finally, you've understood that peace isn't something you find out there. It's something you build, brick by quiet brick, within. And here's what they never tell you. Walking away isn't just about leaving people behind. It's about walking back to yourself. It's about returning to the version of you that was never broken, only buried beneath expectations, pressure, and noise. They told you relationships matter, and they do. But they forgot to mention that your relationship with yourself matters most. Because if you have peace within, chaos outside loses its power over you. You become the calm in the storm, the steady in the shaky, the silence in the noise. And yes, people will try to pull you back in. They'll provoke you, test you, guilt you. Not because they care, but because your peace reminds them of their own lack of it. You become a mirror, and not everyone can face their reflection. But you stay unmoved. You no longer fight battles that cost your sleep. You no longer explain your worth to those blind to your value. You no longer set yourself on fire just to keep others warm. You've mastered the art of detachment, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. You don't chase closure anymore. Your peace is the closure. You don't seek revenge. Your absence is enough. You don't compete. You just leave. Quietly. Completely. Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't scream, doesn't beg, doesn't prove. It simply walks away and lets the silence do the talking. And when you get there, when you finally arrive at that place within yourself where peace reigns over pressure, you'll realize something profound. You never needed to fight for space in someone else's life. You just needed to reclaim the space within your own. And from that place you build. You build a life not driven by fear of losing people, but by the freedom of finding yourself. You wake up without tension. You go to sleep without regrets. You stand alone, but not lonely. Because peace, once chosen, becomes your constant companion. So let the world misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you, misjudge you, misquote your silence. You've stopped living for validation. You've started living for alignment. And that is when you finally rise. Not above people, but above noise. Above need. Above chaos. You don't run anymore. You walk away. On your terms. In your time. With your peace. And as you keep walking, you start noticing something strange. The path becomes quieter, not empty, but sacred. Fewer voices, fewer demands, fewer games. What's left is clean. Real. Yours. You begin hearing your own thoughts again. Not the thoughts they planted in your head. Not the guilt, not the doubts. But the truth. The truth that was always there, whispering underneath the noise. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You start moving differently. More deliberately. You stop reacting to everything. You stop feeling the need to explain every choice. You let people be confused. You let them assume. That's not your weight anymore. Because you've learned that peace isn't passive, it's a daily decision. A commitment. To stay centered when everything around you wants to pull you back into chaos. To be still when others want you to perform. To choose calm over control. You no longer chase people to understand you. You understand you. That's enough. You stop trying to fix things that were never yours to fix. Some people don't want healing. They want attention. Some don't want truth. They want comfort in their lies. And that's not your battle anymore. You forgive, not for them, but for you. Because your peace is too valuable to be held hostage by resentment. You let go. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. You protect your energy like it's sacred ground. Because it is. And not everyone should be allowed to walk on it. Not everyone gets the version of you that's whole. Only those who come in peace get to stay. And here's the real twist. They'll come back. Once you've walked away, they'll feel it. They always do. Your absence will echo louder than your presence ever did. They'll try to reopen the door. But you'll realize, it's not locked. It's removed. There's no way back in because there's no version of you left to return to that chaos. You've evolved. Now you move in silence, with intention, not impulse. You no longer react. You respond, or not at all. Not everything deserves your voice. Some things only deserve your distance. You don't get pulled into cycles anymore. You see them for what they are, tests, and you pass them by not participating. That's the strength they never taught you, the strength of letting go without bitterness, of walking away without turning it into a war, of choosing peace not once, but every single day. You've stopped being emotionally available to emotional vampires. You've stopped being mentally invested in temporary people. You've stopped giving lifetime access to people who only brought seasonal loyalty. And now, you're not just surviving. You're living. Light. Unburdened. Free. You've learned the most powerful lesson of all. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to protect your peace. And that means knowing when the real victory is in walking away. You no longer seek to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer try to prove your goodness to those who twist your silence into arrogance. You've accepted a truth most people never reach. Not every bond is meant to last. Not every connection is meant to grow. Some were only meant to teach you what peace is not. You realize now that peace is earned, not given. It's the reward of walking through fire without letting it burn your soul. Of losing people, opportunities, and illusions, but never losing yourself. And the best part? You're not bitter. You're not cold. You're not angry. You're calm. And that calm is louder than any argument you could ever make. Because once you understand the power of walking away, you stop forcing what's not flowing. You stop begging for clarity from people who thrive in confusion. You stop trying to find home in places that feel like war zones. You don't hate them. You simply love yourself more. You spend more time in silence, in stillness, in spaces that refill, not drain. You reconnect with the simplest things, a quiet morning, the sound of your breath, the peace that comes with not explaining your every move. And slowly, your entire life begins to reflect your inner state. Fewer people, deeper conversations. Less noise, more clarity. Fewer obligations, more intention. You stop chasing what's shiny. You start building what's solid. And yes, some days it's hard. Some days the old version of you whispers back. The one that tolerated, that overextended, that feared being alone. But you smile at that voice. Because now you know, solitude isn't the absence of people, it's the presence of self. You've learned that your peace isn't negotiable. Your time isn't disposable. Your worth isn't up for discussion. You are no longer available for chaos. You don't hate them for how they treated you. You thank them. Because without the pain, you wouldn't have found your power. Without the noise, you wouldn't have craved the silence. Without the pressure, you wouldn't have uncovered the diamond within. And now, you protect it. Fiercely. Quietly. Daily. You walk with less weight. You speak with more truth. You love with more boundaries. You live with more purpose. Because walking away wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of everything real. Everything grounded. Everything peaceful. And in that peace, you don't just survive this life. You own it. You own it not with noise, not with force, but with presence. With the kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that enters a room and shifts energy without a word. Because you've cultivated something rare. Inner stillness. It shows in how you pause before you speak. In how you observe more than you react. In how you choose your circle not based on history, but on harmony. And when the world tries to pull you back into its chaos, with its urgency, its expectations, its guilt, You remain rooted, unshaken, because you've tasted what life feels like without the constant performance. And you can't go back. You no longer explain your peace to people who thrive in noise. You don't invite turbulence just to avoid loneliness. You don't stay where your soul withers just because your body is used to the routine. You understand now. Peace isn't a destination. It's a discipline. It's the discipline of walking away when everything in you wants to fix it. It's the discipline of choosing silence when your ego wants to be heard. It's the discipline of letting go, not just of people, but of patterns. The pattern of overcommitting. The pattern of over-apologizing. The pattern of carrying burdens that aren't yours to hold. You've ended those cycles. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because you finally chose the hard thing that leads to ease, instead of the easy thing that always led to exhaustion. Now, you wake up and your peace isn't just a feeling. It's a filter. It guides your choices. It shapes your responses. It defines your priorities. And the beauty is, those who truly see you, those aligned with your peace, don't drain you. They don't demand explanations. They don't confuse your silence with distance. They sit with you in the quiet. They grow with you in the calm. They respect your stillness because they've found their own. That's when you realize, walking away wasn't about isolation. It was about elevation. You rose, not above others, but above the noise, the drama, the patterns that once kept you small. You didn't escape life. You simply chose a different kind of life. One built on presence, not pressure. On boundaries, not burnout. On peace, not people-pleasing. And in that life, you don't have to fight for peace anymore. Because you are peace. And now, every step forward is a silent declaration. I choose me. Not because others don't matter, but because you finally do. And when you choose yourself, not from ego, but from truth, everything changes. You stop settling for half love, half effort, half peace. You stop entertaining people who only show up when it's convenient. You stop negotiating your worth in rooms where silence is mistaken for weakness. Because now, you've met the version of yourself that doesn't flinch when someone leaves. You've met the version that doesn't beg to be understood. The version that smiles, nods, and walks away. Not to prove a point, but because you no longer need to. Your peace is the point. Your growth is the point. Your freedom is the point. And in this silence, you don't lose your voice. You find it. You don't lose connection. You make room for the right ones. You don't become hard. You become clear. You become intentional about who you give your time to. You become protective of the spaces you enter, the conversations you allow, the energy you absorb. You stop trying to change people. You change your presence instead. You show up where peace lives. And if peace isn't there, neither are you. You no longer confuse loyalty with self-abandonment. You no longer call dysfunction home. You no longer shrink to make others feel big. You're done with pretending. Done with pleasing. Done with over-explaining. Because now, your life reflects your inner world. Simple. Quiet. Powerful. You've learned the rarest lesson in a noisy world. Not everything needs your attention. Not everyone deserves your energy. And not every door needs to be reopened. Some endings are sacred. Some goodbyes are your greatest beginning. So you keep walking. Not away from life, but toward yourself. Not to escape, but to evolve. You walk lighter. You speak softer. You rest deeper. Because when peace becomes your priority, everything else rearranges itself around that stillness. And one day, without even realizing it, you become the kind of person you once needed. The kind of soul that doesn't just survive storms, but becomes the calm inside them. This is your power. Not loud. Not seen, but deeply, unshakably felt. And that feeling, of being rooted in something deeper than approval, louder than noise, stronger than fear, becomes your compass. You stop needing the world to clap for your quiet victories. You stop needing applause for every boundary you set. Because now, you celebrate yourself, silently, but completely. You sit alone and feel full, not empty. You're no longer afraid of your own company, because you've made peace your companion. You've become someone who doesn't chase energy, you attract it. You don't demand respect, you embody it. You don't wait for the world to slow down. You move at your own pace. And the ones who are meant to walk with you, they recognize that rhythm. They don't rush you. They don't pull you off your path. They walk beside you, in silence, in strength, in stillness. That's what happens when you stop negotiating your peace. Your life doesn't just change. It aligns. Your days feel lighter. Your decisions feel cleaner. Your mind, less crowded. You're no longer reacting to everything. You're responding to what matters. And when someone brings chaos to your door again, and they will, you won't panic. You'll pause. You'll breathe. And you'll ask yourself one simple question. Is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, you'll walk away. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Because the version of you who once clung to what hurt you is gone. The version who kept the peace at the cost of their own has evolved. Now, your silence is your shield. Your stillness is your strength. And your peace? It's no longer something you hope for. It's something you protect. You've realized the greatest freedom isn't found in being accepted by everyone. It's found in being fully at home with yourself. And from that place, you build everything. Slowly. Deliberately. Powerfully. This is your life now. Quiet. Clear. Untouchable. Because once you've learned the power of walking away with peace, you never walk any other way again. And that walk, steady, quiet, grounded, is what separates you from who you used to be. You no longer rush to fix what's breaking. You no longer panic when something ends. You trust the silence, even when it feels unfamiliar, because now you know. Peace doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand to be seen. It just is. And when you live from that place, people feel it. They feel the difference in your presence, the calm in your eyes, the firmness in your no, the grace in your distance. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not detached, you're discerning. You don't cut people off, you cut off access to the parts of you that once bled for them without return. You've reclaimed your space. You've rewritten the rules. You've stopped watering gardens that never grew anything but weeds. And it shows. Not in the noise you make, but in the noise you no longer entertain. Not in how many people are around you, but in how deeply you feel peace even when no one is. You walk through your life like a person who knows their soul is sacred ground. You don't argue in circles. You don't chase after closure. You don't reopen chapters just because someone misses the version of you who didn't know better. That version no longer exists. And your peace now? It's your proof. Proof that you can heal without applause. That you can grow without witnesses. That you can lose people and still find more of yourself. You've realized the loudest transformations don't come with fanfare. They come quietly, in decisions no one sees. In boundaries no one claps for. In walks you take alone. And in that silence, you found a truth most never touch. You don't need the world to understand your journey. You just need the courage to keep walking it. So you do. And every step away from noise is a step deeper into your peace. And every step deeper into your peace becomes a reminder of what you overcame, of what you released, and of who you had to become to finally feel free. You look back, not in regret, but in quiet gratitude. Not because it didn't hurt, but because the pain taught you the price of your own energy. It taught you what to stop giving away for free. You no longer see walking away as weakness. You see it for what it truly is. A silent act of power. The kind of power that doesn't try to dominate, but simply refuses to be dominated. You've come to understand something that can't be taught, only lived. That not every battle needs to be fought. Not every person needs to be answered. And not every invitation deserves your presence. Now, peace isn't something you seek. It's something you are. You've become the stillness you once ran from. The quiet you once feared. The solitude you once avoided has now become your strength. You don't explain your boundaries anymore. You don't apologize for your healing. You don't shrink yourself just to be allowed in the room. You are the room. You bring the calm. You carry the clarity. And those who can't handle your peace, who confuse your stillness for absence or your silence for pride, they were never meant to walk this path with you. They were lessons. Necessary. Painful. But not permanent. Now you move differently. Not faster, not louder, but wiser. More anchored. More discerning. More in tune with the quiet pulse of your own spirit. This is what it means to walk away, not from people, but from patterns. Not from love, but from attachment. Not from connection, but from chaos pretending to be connection. And this walk, it never ends. Because protecting your peace is a lifelong journey. A practice. A discipline. A choice you make every single day, especially when no one's watching. And that choice, that quiet, daily choice, that's what makes you unshakable. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've walked through the noise. You've let go of the weight. And now, you walk with peace as your only companion and your greatest crown.